Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today is the big day. Today we are going to go ahead and start no other than tomatoes. I am super excited, even though it is extremely early in my zone. I just want to get that out of the way. Super early in my zone to go ahead and be planting them. However, I have my reasons that I will definitely share, and then hopefully if it's also earlier for you, you can go ahead and watch and get some ideas of how I start my tomatoes, so then you can go ahead and prep to get your tomatoes ready. Now, I am located in zone 6A. I am in Western Massachusetts, and our last frost date is actually moved up a week earlier from last year. Last year, it was around May 15th or 17th, and then this year is actually gonna be on May 9th, which is early. And right now we are getting so much snow. We're actually getting another snowstorm this weekend that I am really not sure if I am into the May 9th time for our last frost date. Now, just because it says it's your last frost date does not mean that you have to go ahead and plant out your tomatoes or any of your vegetables or flowers around then. Actually, last year, even though mine was around May 15th or 17th, I didn't plant mine out until Memorial Day weekend. I feel like the general rule of thumb is around here, I was told by some of my other coworkers who love to garden as well, is that they usually get their flowers out around Mother's Day, and then after Memorial Day, they go ahead and get all of their vegetables out. So that is something that I plan on doing. However, I will tell you why right now I plan on going ahead and starting these super early. Now, if you look at the back of your seed packet, they usually will tell you when to go ahead and start your tomatoes. So for instance, this one right here from MI Gardener, it says 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. General rule of thumb, I feel like all of the tomato packets say 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. Last year, as my first time gardening, I did around 8 to 10 weeks. Since I didn't know what I was doing, I wanted to start early. That way, for whatever reason, if they didn't germinate or if I lost some, I might have a small window of time to go ahead and start some new ones. This year, I plan on doing it 12 or more weeks before my last frost date. And that is not even if I go ahead and extend it an extra 2 weeks and wait until Memorial Day weekend, since Mother's Day is actually fairly early this year. Now, let me go ahead and tell you exactly why I plan on going ahead and starting these rather early. And that is because last year when I did tomatoes, all of my larger tomatoes, like the Homestead and the Big Boy, they were still super green when it came time to start winding things down for the fall. So this year, I rather not have that happen and have a jump start onto the harvest. Now, another reason why I am starting them early is because I actually do have the space to go ahead if they get too large to keep track of them. This right behind me is a very tall 2-tier grow rack that I got off of Facebook Marketplace. I'm probably gonna go ahead and update the lighting on it since these are fluorescent lights and use my LED ones instead. So as you can see, there's a lot of space and I can go ahead and move the pole to make the light go even higher if I need it to be. So I plan on using this rack behind me to house all of my tomato plants if I'm lucky enough for them to grow that large in time. Also, I did go ahead and purchase myself a Costco Yardistry greenhouse. I got the 8x10 model. It was actually on sale for $500 off, so I figured, why not? What a steal. And we also got our Costco rewards, so we're gonna be using that towards it as well. I'll probably not be able to go ahead and put that up towards the beginning or mid-April. I also have my April vacation as I am a teacher, and so even if I get it out by the end of April, using that break to go ahead and build it, it will still give me a few weeks or a month to leave the tomatoes inside the greenhouse if they get too large for my indoor seed starting setup. And then that way I can go ahead and harden them off in time so I can plant them out on Memorial Day weekend if I choose to wait that long. Now, with that being said, I hope that gives you a good general reason as to why I'm starting them so early. Also, I do have some good news. So if you watched my other video on how to use the solo cup method to go ahead and start your tomatoes and house them in there until it's time for them to be planted, you saw that I put a few pink heirloom seeds that I actually self-harvested for my first time from my farm share tomatoes. And I am so happy to say that they did germinate. I couldn't believe it. For whatever reason, I had it in my mind that it was 3 to 4 days until germination, even though it does say 5 to 10 weeks on the back of the seed packet. So clearly I got mixed up a little bit, but I am thrilled to say that I do have some germination. All right, so let's just go ahead with the materials that you're going to need. First off, you're going to need some seed starting mix. Mine is pre-moistened, it is ready to go. You want to be able to wring it out with your hands and not have any water droplets, but you still want it to be able to go ahead and hold its form. Also, this is totally optional. You can go ahead and use a 6-cell pack, a 72-cell pack, Tupperware, yogurt containers. I personally like to just go ahead and use these solo cups. I have the big Costco one. I have a ton left, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use these. I fill this up about halfway, or not even, maybe a third of the way, because I am going to actually just end up reusing this anyways once they all germinate. And what I like to do is, once they start to get those little leaves popping up, I will pluck them off and then I will transfer them either into this double cup solo method, or I'll put it in a cell tray, and then once they start to get their first true leaves, then I will pot them up into here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start mine all in this Costco size solo cup because I won't be using them this year. These are actually leftover from last year. And this is what it's gonna look like in the end. So right now I have my solo cup. This just happens to be the double one from when we did our example. I put a sandwich bag on top, and if you can see the moisture. It was on a heat mat that was set at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and I didn't even bother putting the lights on. And when I checked this morning, I was super excited. I planted 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. Do you see those little set of green leaves? And then there's a few that are just starting to poke out. And I am thrilled. So I will probably, what I would do last year is, once you see those green leaves, I would actually pluck it out ever so carefully. That is why I really like this seed starting mix. I will just go ahead and pluck it out, and then I will bury it a little bit deeper, and then I'll put that usually in a cell tray before going ahead and potting them up to here. Mostly it's just because I don't want to waste so much dirt right away, and I will go ahead and reuse it. So I was thrilled. So we have 4 out of 5 right now. I'm hoping the 5th one will come up and we'll have a lot of tomato seeds. So again, this is my cute little humidity dome setup. It worked well for me last year, so I hope you go ahead and try this out. Or if not, use containers like your to-go trays, and you can go ahead and put some saran wrap that will work just as well. Or use a 72 cell tray and then go ahead and put the humidity dome, like the big plastic ones, and that works just as well. All right, I like to go ahead and batch things while I'm setting up. So I'm gonna go ahead and start all of my garden tags first. Now I'm probably gonna go ahead and make 2 of everything, even though I might only fill up 1 solo cup because I do only have my small heat mats right now. I have them set at 75 degrees. That is what is best for germination, is at least 75, while I have my larger one right now going for my flowers around 70 to 72 degrees. So because my heat mats are smaller at that 75 degree mark, I have to do tomatoes. Again, these are just my large tomatoes. I have cherry tomatoes, which I'm going to be starting the double amount of, and I also have peppers. So I'm not quite sure I can fit all of those on my 2 small ones. So I might really have to jam pack. I plan on probably doing anywhere from 5 to 8 of everything. So I think I can fit all of them in one, because tomorrow, or maybe later on, if I still have a good nap time with my little one, I'm gonna go ahead and do my cherry tomatoes, and those I'm going to be starting, like I said, double the amount. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my plant markers gone. Then I will go ahead and fill these up. And then we'll go ahead and get some seeds inside, and I'll show you how I set everything up over on my small little grow. Okay, so we have everything prepared. I have all of my plant tags with my seeds. I have a bunch of cups ready. If I need more, I can go ahead and make some more. And since I do have so much pre-moistened soil, who knows, maybe I'll go ahead and do my cherry tomatoes afterwards. But as you can see, it's maybe about halfway full, just maybe a little, yeah, I would say about halfway full. That way I can go ahead and see where the seeds are. Now, just to let you know, tomato seeds do not need light to germinate, which I absolutely love because that means it's not gonna be taking up space on my grow racks. I can go ahead and put it on my smaller one next to me with just the heat mats, and then that way I'm not gonna be shuffling things around. I'm already adding more lights right now, opening up another pack of lights because everything's starting to get a little bit full over there. These past few days I've been potting up some of my perennials. So space is starting to get a little bit limited right now, but that's fine. I have the space. So we're gonna go ahead and start with these pineapple tomatoes. So I made 2 and I figured if I don't need a second cup, I'll just hold this off to the side. That way, when I do go ahead and start potting everything into these, I usually just go ahead and write it on the cup, especially because these ones are clear, they're smoother. I'll probably just put some tape on it so that way I can go ahead and reuse it next year. But I'm gonna go ahead and just do a few with you guys, and then I'll probably do another little speed round. So that way you're not going ahead and watching the whole time. All right, so again, these are from seed swapping. Now, my thing is with seed swapping is you just never know if someone was like new and unexperienced like me, how the seeds are gonna go. So I probably had 10 of them. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of space them out. And then I will cover them with a very thin layer of dirt. And then I will go ahead and also put some vermiculite on top just to help with the moisture, especially because we are making a little greenhouse effect with the Ziplock bag on top. And again, I am someone who probably overseeds and then cannot let go of a plant and just like, sorry, I just don't have the space for you. I kind of do it to myself where I start too much and then I just, you know, I can't dwindle down to the weakest one. All right, so let's see. I have, if I can get it off my finger, there we go. I planted 8 of them in there. Now, I really was gonna write how many I started so I knew how many germinated, but that is all right. So I have 8. So there's actually enough room where I probably could just do 1 per seed variety. Again, they do not need light to germinate. I'm gonna go ahead and just lightly cover them and then push it down so that way they have good contact with the soil. Right there. And then I am gonna go ahead and put some vermiculite on top. And it is as simple as that. And then again, I am just doing too many extra steps, I'm sure, by moving them all over the place. It's just a method that works for me. I kind of work and thrive in chaos, I feel like. Maybe that is just the perk of being a teacher. So this is what it looks like right now. I just put the extra plant marker in, and then I actually saved these from last year. Just made sure that they were clean. I let them dry out. And then I'm just gonna go ahead, pop that on. Now I do have one that I will say it's a little bit tricky because of the thermometer and putting the probe in. It's a little bit wonky to get the bag on, but this is what it will look like when all said and done. And, oh, actually I forgot a step. I will miss this. Almost forgot. It's because it's usually Madeline's job, I feel like. All right, so it is, there we go, all set and ready to go. Now I will go ahead and put this on, and then I will just come back and check, you know, after 2 days, probably missed it again, and then I will do it kind of daily if I feel like it's getting very warm in there. So we have 1 down and a few more to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one off to the side. So we're gonna go ahead and do the Alice's Dream. So I will have some extra cup right now. And again, these are just the Costco ones. You can go ahead and do a 72 cell tray if you want. But That's okay. We're just gonna go ahead and do all the extra steps. Like I said, mine tended to germinate at different times. So that is why I feel like I'm just going to do a million different steps. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure these are good. And I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do 8. And then watch. With my luck, I'm gonna have all 8 in everything that I am growing, germinate, and then I'm going to be swimming in solo cups. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and just put a light layer, squish it in there, and just make sure that all the seeds are covered. And I am just lightly pushing this. I don't wanna like jam pack it down. I will put some of my vermiculite on top. And then I'm gonna go ahead and mix them in. Again, this is what it's going to look like inside the cup. I have my little Ziplock baggies, and like I said, I just reuse these. I just rinsed them out. Once I was done with them last year, let them dry, and then I just stored them in here, and this one is good to go. And I also like this method too because I feel like I am not wasting all of my cell trays. So I hope, fingers crossed, that I have enough to get me through the end of the year. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of these. We'll do a nice little time lapse for you, and then we'll check in when we go ahead and put. All right, and that is it. We are wrapping it up. I did stick to having every single type of tomato in one solo cup. I'm gonna go ahead and get these over on the heat mat, and I'll show you where I keep them. All right, as you can see, we have all of our tomatoes snug as a bug. So we're gonna leave them there until they go ahead and germinate. And there you have it. We have all of our large tomato plants in our little solo cups. They are going to be under those heat mats. Again, I have mine set to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Hopefully then within the next 5 to 10 days, it will germinate. I can't wait to go ahead and show you updates. If you would like to go ahead and follow along and see this gardening journey and how we're doing, hopefully come late spring, we'll have some amazing tomato plants to go ahead and put in between Mother's Day and Memorial Day. Go ahead, click like and subscribe. And I can't wait to go ahead and show you what everything looks like later this summer. Thanks again so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you over when we do our cherry tomatoes and peppers this weekend. Again, have a great day. Bye.